A lot of discussion on the Discord and in terms of just overall strategy when it comes to Godsbane is around builds or which are the best units to use, which are the best powers to use. There's very little actual conversation about the movement mechanics of the game. In fact, part of the reason that I'm doing this video is that I read a review of the game and it said that like the movement mechanics of the game aren't strategical, they're not tactical at all. I just think it is so incredibly ridiculous. And while playing earlier, I was in the middle of this game, and I just realised it'd be a perfect example of one of the strategic concepts that I sort of employ the most, or I always take into consideration. I think it's extremely important in the game. These are things that a new player come into the game. I think this might help, just to understand and to know how to do this. It's kind of exploitation of the movement system of Godsbane. So as I said, this is a pretty good example, which is why I'm picking it. My opponent has a very kind of basic, typical Phoenix deck here. So you can see the Phoenix is way in the left-hand corner. We can't get to it. There's absolutely no choice. The second thing here is that because the Phoenix is a ranged unit, it can't actually choose who it targets. Like, you can't directly target a unit. Whereas if you have a melee unit, you can literally just click on it and drag it onto whichever unit it is in base with, basically. If it's base with another unit, if it's right next to another unit, you can choose who it faces. The Phoenix can't do that. It will always attack this Devourer, and this is extremely important because, like I said, we're talking about exploitation of the movement mechanics in order to help you. Well, I suppose help you to win would be accurate. And this is a perfect example of what I call closing the box. I don't know if there's another term for it, but I call it opening and closing the box. Right now, this game is over. Maybe that sounds crazy, but because of the way that movement works, and the tactical advantages of being able to move second, but also the ability to move first as well. If you plan ahead, and you reach this kind of situation, it is very, very easy to manufacture a situation in which your opponent cannot win. It's really just a matter of corralling them, guiding them to the finish line. So we're equal in health here, and we're in what I call closed box. So all my units are all around. As I said, the important thing really here is it's a Phoenix build. The Phoenix is what my opponent's build is all about, and it's stuck on this Devourer. We're not in a great spot though, because the Phoenix does AoE, and it's going to deal this AoE. We can't get to the Phoenix, so it's always going to be dealing this AoE. In closed box, this isn't optimal for us, but it is positionally optimal for us, because he can't move. That's the important thing here, is his Phoenix is stuck on the Devourer, and he literally cannot move any unit. He's stuck in this box. Now, as I said, it's not optimal for us in other ways, because his Phoenix is going to be dealing AoE, not just to the Devourer, but also to the Golem next to it. And I'm not going to, like I said, we're not really going into builds or units, anything like that. But it's important to know that I've got Death Eater and an Orali and a Rock Golem. So it's clear that I'm relying on minions dying. A large part of what I'm doing is minions die and then we get stronger. We ramp up through Death Eater. And right now, with the box closed, the minions have to spawn behind me. So the minions aren't going to die. Death Eater is not really going to ramp up. So this is a bad situation for us. But there is no way that we can lose from this situation. Our opponent has just won the previous round, so they move, and we're in box closed. We'll play it out, but I mean, it's not too surprising. They can't do anything yet. They're stuck in this position. It's not an optimal position for us, but positionally, it's ideal for us because we've restricted their options to absolutely nothing. Now, because we get to go second, we can now open the box, yeah? And he's got no way of getting out because, of course, he's stuck in this position. Just before we get into it, actually, you know what? Let's just move it forward a little bit, yeah? Right, so we've opened the box. What does this do? Well, for one thing, the Phoenix deals AoE damage. It's still stuck on the Devourer, but now there's a space next to the Devourer where the Golem used to be. Minions will be in this space right here. This space is also next to the Dark Mage, and the Orali will also be creating minions to the other side of the Dark Mage. So we've got two spaces for minions here. And that means that we'll get a stack of Death Eaters straight away from the Aurelian minion suiciding itself. But also the Phoenix cannot help but deal AoE damage, which means it's also going to be dealing damage to minions and destroying minions. So it's helping us get our Death Eater stacks. This is opening the box. So I'm very, very confident that we're going to win this round. Because this Phoenix is helping us by killing minions, which I don't care about. They're just here to ramp up my Death Eater stacks. And it's hitting the Devourer. It's kind of pointless. Whereas he's only got one unit that can focus my Trapper, which is really my damage per second. So I know we're going to win this round. That's the important thing here. Let's not get carried away with anything else. Let's just stay focused on the positional concept I'm talking about. I really want to talk about just the movement mechanics and exploiting them here. So I was very, very confident we were going to win that round, which is why I opened the box. We're also trying to buy time here. I don't really want Dark Pact on my Dark Mage. I'm really looking for Primal Impact, I think. Because that's very much a win. Because it's got Death Eater. My Dark Mage has Death Eater. And Primal Impact goes off your base attack. So Death Eater is going to take it to sky high. And then with Primal Impact off of the Golem and the Dark Mage, it's going to get 2 procs. And it's also going to proc the Trapper, which is fantastic. But because I just won the round, we get to go first. What does that mean? It means that we just close the box again, right? This also means that we're now in a worse position. As I said, this isn't actually an optimal position for us, but it is positionally optimal. I feel a bit bad for him because he says thank you here. I don't think he quite realises what we're doing. Like we cannot lose this game as long as we just do this. We're ahead of the game. We're in full control, and he cannot move. His Phoenix is forced to target a Devourer, and all we have to do is just constantly take advantage of the fact that when he moves, he can't move, and then we take best advantage of when we can move to put ourselves in a good position. So you can already see that we're kind of ahead. We deal damage, then he deals damage, right? And this is just going to happen back and forth. There is no chance of him dealing more damage than us because we already have him trapped in a box, so there's no way he can position. There's no way he can get his damage per second out and then have it focus in my Trapper, for example. You know, he's stuck here. So all he can really do is manipulate his abilities. You know, he could swap his abilities out, try something different. But in terms of position, he can't move anywhere, and he's very, very restricted. He's, in fact, got very limited options in what he can even target. So again, the enemy moves, but we've closed the box, yeah? We won last round, so we closed the box. Now it's our turn. Because we just lost the round, we open the box again. Now we win a round, yeah? So the health is 11 to 12. We win a round, his health goes down. Then we close the box because we just won the round and we get to move first. Then he wins a round. So our health then goes down again. But it's impossible for us to ever lose this because every time he loses health, we then follow, but he loses health first. I don't know if I've explained that well, but it is impossible for us to lose.
You cannot stop me.
Right, so we've just won a round. Again, we closed the box, yeah? Although this is actually the end. In an ideal example, of course, he'd then win the round. We'd close the box, he'd win a round. Then we'd open the box again and we'd win. But there's no chance of him dealing 12 damage here. That's the important thing. He can't. There's no way of him positioning his units and somehow getting around to attacking this Arali. All he's got is his one golem that can focus the Trapper. We close the box and he's stuck. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that maybe new players don't think about so much. So, you know, I'm sure that for a lot of people this would be sort of like very obvious. You know, kind of the concepts that, you know, are kind of like off the top of your head. You're just like, well, duh. But I do think it is very important to always sort of consider position and what happens. I see this so often when I'm playing matches with people. You know, they'll put, you know, a Shadow Stalker into base contact with one of my units, and I'm kind of thinking, well, if I win the next round, you've already got it in base contact with one thing. I'd move first next round. I've got 3 sides cornered. If it's on the side, it can't move anywhere. If it's in the corner, it's even easier. Yeah? Then you only need 2 units. It's one of those things that you always have to consider how to use the movement mechanics of Godsbane sort of to your best advantage. And this was a very, very simple concept, really. It's just closing the box so that he cannot move on his turn. Then we open the box, win a round, and then we immediately close the box again. And by doing so, we just kind of like led him down the path of victory until eventually, we won.